Hello friends! In this video I want to answer the question, can I beat Mario Golf if the fairway is out of bounds? Now, I could have done this by playing the game normally and avoiding the fairway as much as possible, but instead I went a step further and modded the game to outright replace all fairways with out of bounds. Let's go over the rules for this run. First, I will play the game from a new file so that courses and characters are not already unlocked in the saved data. Perhaps obviously, I will also not use the unlock button combination on the title screen to get access to all characters and most courses. I will need to obtain all 6 gold trophies, won by finishing each tournament in first place. I will not be allowed to save and quit to restart holes during a round, so any mistakes will be likely to impact my final score. Finally, I will not import characters from the Game Boy Color using the transfer pack. I may still unlock other characters via get character matches, ring shots, or birdie badges if necessary. I'll note my progress as I go with the 6 trophy icons on the side of the screen, and with that, let's get started. First off, I select Peach and head straight to Toad Tournament. Being the first course, many of these holes are quite short in length and it will not be too difficult to save par or birdie when playing from the rough, even with these weaker characters. Sadly, a missed putt led to a bogey on the first hole, but I quickly pulled back the score with a few birdies. Hole 7 is perhaps the hardest of the front 9, and with some poor weather conditions I once again had to take a bogey. 2 pars later and I finished the front 9 on a score of -2, well on pace to winning the first tournament. The back 9 starts off well, lowering my score to -4 by hole 14. Another missed putt however lands me a further bogey, but I'm still confident of winning the tournament going into the final 4 holes. A poorly aimed shot on hole 16 hits a tree and results in my first OB of the run. I end up taking a bogey, but a useful chip in on 17 makes up for it. Finally, I play safe on hole 18, taking a par to comfortably win the tournament. That wasn't so bad, but it's about to get a lot more difficult. I continue on with Peach and take a few attempts at Cooper Cup, but the longer and more complex holes prove to be a huge issue. I'm able to average around par over the course as a whole, but without pouring a lot more time into these attempts to get more favourable weather conditions throughout the course, I'm just not quite able to win the gold trophy. My best attempt finishes in 2nd place, narrowly missing the top spot. It's time for a new strategy. This time, I enter ring shots instead of tournaments. In this mode, I can unlock Donkey Kong if I am able to complete 30 of the 36 ring shot holes, which would give me a much stronger character to work with. Still, this will require some creativity to complete. As expected, reduced power when shooting from the rough, and in some cases needing an extra shot to set up an angle from which to hit each ring without touching fairway, does make this harder than usual, as I'm often left with little or no room for error. All 6 holes on Toad Highlands could still be done comfortably however, as there are no rings that are not accessible when avoiding fairway. Creek Crossing and Every Which Way are a little more precise, but still nothing that Peach couldn't handle. Moving on to Cooper Park, and I immediately run into some issues. On River Ring, the rings are simply too high and far to reach all of them when shooting from the rough. On arches here and there, the positions of the rings make them too difficult to obtain while still making par. Hide and go ring is most likely possible, but requires such a precise setup and shot to collect the ring while avoiding fairway that I wasn't able to make it after many attempts. Hopefully, having to use 3 of my 6 available skips already isn't going to be a huge issue for the remaining courses. Shy Guy Desert actually goes very well. Like Toad Highlands, some shots do require more precision to make, but the length of the holes and positions of the rings provide the leniency required to still make par on each hole without much trouble. On Yoshi's Island, I initially decided to skip scraping the cliff and zig and zag, as I knew these would be difficult holes to complete. The other 4 holes don't play much differently than normal, as the rings are already placed around hazards, but I was sure I'd have to come back for at least one of the remaining holes here later. Boo Valley is difficult, but still quite possible. Avoiding the fairway here means I have some very narrow targets to hit on certain holes, especially duck and dodge, which is hard enough already in normal play. However, Valley in the Valley feels like it might just be out of reach for Peach, so for now my final skip will have to be used here. I'm doubtful that I'll be able to beat all holes at Mario's Star, but let's find out. I start with the par 3s, as these already require shooting out of hazards and thus play normally. These are difficult holes already, but don't take more than a few attempts to complete. Skull and Bones is a long par 5, which requires some precision to avoid the many thin strips of fairway across the course. With a few well-placed shots, I was still able to make par here with Peach. Sorry Bob Bomb is another par 5, and I have little option here other than shooting from the bunkers and hoping the lie of the ball is not too restrictive on power. This also turned out to be possible by trickling down the rock into a lower bunker, then shooting for the green to make par. The final 2 holes here are much more of a problem. I'm not able to make the rings without using the fairway, so it's time to backtrack and look at other options for the final 2 holes I need to complete to unlock Donkey Kong. Back to Yoshi's Island, and I was able to get some lucky bounces off the rocks on scraping the cliff that allowed me to have a simple shot to the green. I make par, and now I just need one more hole. I tried zig and zag for a while, and while it was difficult, having just the right 3rd and 4th shots allowed me to make the green and putt for par, finally completing 30 ring shots and unlocking Donkey Kong. I head back to Koopa Cup, this time using DK. I immediately hit OB on the first hole, but with the stronger character I don't expect it to be a big deal for the rest of the course. I quickly follow up with an eagle and a couple of birdies, putting my score back on track. On hole 6, I foolishly drive straight out of bounds, putting some pressure on the following shots. I set up nicely to make the green, but overdo the approach and roll OB again. I end up taking 3 over. Not a great result. Birdies on holes 7 and 9 take me back to 2 under by the end of the front 9, but it's been a shaky start so far. I par hole 10 before driving out of bounds on hole 11 and taking a bogey. I birdie the following 2 holes before disaster strikes yet again. I hit a water hazard off the tee on 14 before going OB once more with an underhit shot to the green. A double bogey, and I'm really not doing myself any favours here. 2 more birdies though, and I'm in a good position going into hole 18. I finish up the course with a par, but it's plenty to take the top spot and win the second trophy. Shy Guy International I don't expect to be much of a problem. The course overall is less difficult than Cooper Park in my opinion, though I do need a lower score to win. I start off well with 2 birdies, but miss a relatively simple putt on hole 3 to take par. I slice the drive on hole 4 and narrowly avoid going OB, though it's still a relatively simple birdie from this position. I par the next hole and then sink a mid-range putt for birdie on hole 6. I underhit the tee shot on hole 7, falling short of the green and going OB. I end up taking a bogey here. On hole 8, I miss birdie due to a difficult putt down a harsh slope, but a par at this stage is perfectly fine. Hole 9 is a difficult one, and I once again settle for par, finishing the front 9 at 3 under. A useful second shot gets me a birdie on hole 10, but landing in waste area means I have to settle for par on 11. I take 2 more birdies and narrowly miss out on an eagle on hole 14 due to missing a mid-range putt. I just avoid going OB on 15 while shooting downhill with a tricky tailwind, and another missed putt means I take par here. 16 also ends with par as I miss on the green yet again. Being at -7 though, I'm in very good shape going into the final 2 holes of the course. On 17, I really have no choice but to try to play from the bunker, which does lead to me hitting OB when trying to make the green. I take the bogey, but make up for it on hole 18 with a good shot onto the green and a birdie. I take first place here quite comfortably, winning the 3rd trophy. 3 more to go. The game really ramps up in difficulty over the final 3 courses, so I'm going to need to play close to my best to win the remaining trophies. I go deep in the bunker on the first hole of Yoshi Championship, and don't make the green on shot 2, meaning I have to take a par to start. A hook on hole 2 sends me into deep rough, but I manage to save it with a good shot to the green and make birdie. Hole 3 is a difficult short hole, and I'm more than happy to settle with par here. Hole 4 is an uphill par 5, so I shoot high from the rough and hit the back of the green. I miss a long putt, but a birdie is still fine. On hole 5, I don't correctly guide my tee shot around the winding cliffs and end up OB. I try a safer approach next and manage to get away with a bogey. Hole 6 is an awful par 3 for DK's play, and I underhit from the tee to go OB again. I correct my mistake for the re-tee and come away with another bogey. I take birdies on holes 7, 8 and 9, all simple enough to make while playing from the rough with DK's power. That leaves me 3 under after the front 9, so I just need to keep the pace. I miss a putt for birdie on hole 10 and come away with par. I play relatively safe in the rough on hole 11 to make the green in 3 shots and take a birdie. Holes 12 and 13 have some awkward downhill shots that leave me with longer putts than I'd like, but I managed to birdie both. I hit a good shot to the green on hole 14 to make another birdie, and correctly play a strong headwind on 15 to birdie yet again. The back 9 is looking great so far, so I'll just need no major mistakes on the final 3 holes. Some difficult conditions on 16 leave me with a long putt that I narrowly miss, taking par on this hole. I miss another longer putt on 17, par again. I go into the final hole in very good shape. My tee shot ends up among the trees and fruits, which is not ideal. I play a short shot to get around these, leaving me with a clear 3rd shot to the green. I just about make it up, then manage to sink the putt for birdie, finishing at -9. This round ended up better than expected, but the real challenge is still yet to come. Next is Boo Classic, and I'm expecting this to be the hardest tournament to win. Some of the holes here will be brutal with only very small areas for me to aim at. I'm hoping I can find enough birdies to make up for what could be multiple OBs on the harder holes. My first attempt starts very well with 2 birdies and an eagle. I par the next 5 holes in a row as I either struggle to hit the greens or to be close enough for a simple putt. It starts to fall apart on hole 9 though, where I drive OB and end up having to take a bogey. Hole 10 is just awful. I fail to land a drive at all and have to forfeit the hole at triple par. This attempt is over. My second attempt gets off to a shaky start as I go OB on hole 2 and take a double bogey. I make up for it with an eagle and a birdie on the following holes. I take par on hole 5 after an awkward shot towards the green, then birdie hole 6. I settle for par on hole 7, then sink a good mid-range putt for birdie on 8. Hole 9 proves to be difficult again, where I fail to land the drive for several attempts and come away with +4. The back 9 is going to have to be near perfect to win from here. I go OB again on hole 10, but a lucky bounce to land on the semi-rough on the second attempt allows me to just about make par. I hit 4 birdies in a row and suddenly this is looking hopeful again. A missed putt on hole 15 and narrowly missed chip on 16 mean that I absolutely need to birdie the final 2 holes to have a chance at winning. I make the green in 2 on 17, but miss the putt for eagle. Birdie is fine, but I need to be perfect on hole 18. I make a mess of the tee-off shot trying to get near the green, and it's all over. That was close, but I'll have to try again. My next attempt starts with a birdie, but I don't quite make the green on hole 2 and take a par. I make the green on hole 3 and sink a mid-range putt for eagle, but a poor shot into the water on hole 4 leads to a double bogey. I manage to get close on hole 5 and get another birdie, but it's a bogey on hole 6 as I underhit a shot towards the green and go OB. Hole 7 is a long one, but with some good positioning I manage to make the green and putt for birdie. Some awful conditions on hole 8 though, and I roll over the green and go OB again. The follow-up is almost too short, but I'll take the bogey. I don't quite make the green on 9, but a good chip gets me a birdie anyway. -2 from the front 9 is less than I would like, but I'm still hopeful. I try to minimize risk on hole 10 and aim to a position that's going to be difficult to play from. Thankfully I narrowly avoid the OB. I make the green with a putt for birdie but miss and have to take par. 11 is a relatively simple birdie, but another missed putt on 12 means I can only take par there. I hook my approach to the green on 13 and end up with a bogey. The pressure is again starting to build for the last few holes. I miss a putt on 14 to take a par, and now I'm going to need birdies or better to finish off the course. I get the birdie on hole 15 with a slightly awkward putt. I overhit on 16 and just miss a chip for birdie. A par here means I need to eagle hole 17, which is possible but by no means straightforward. I barely make the green, but a good mid-range putt just makes it to the hole and I get the eagle I needed. I play a safe drive on 18, but have an awkward shot from up against the rock to make the green. Thankfully it gets close, leaving me with a simple putt for birdie and to finally win the trophy. At last, it's the final tournament, Mario Open. I expect this one to also be very difficult, but maybe not quite on the same level as Boo. The first hole is simple for stronger characters, allowing me to drive the green and make a long putt for eagle. Hole 2 basically requires me to play from the deep rough, making it hard to get close to the hole on shot 2, but I make a good putt from the rough to get birdie here. On hole 3, I end up in deep rough and need to play an extra shot to recover, finishing with a par. I have trouble making some of these greens and I take 3 further pars on holes 4 to 6. A good second shot on hole 7 though, and I'm able to get another eagle, so my score so far is still looking good. A strong tailwind on hole 8 lets me get close to the green, making this an easy birdie. Another birdie on hole 9, and I finish the front 9 on -7. This is going much better than expected, but the back 9 has some very difficult greens to play onto. I'll need to keep this up. I birdie hole 10, but then end up with a very awkward shot on 11. I go OB twice and have to take a triple bogey. It's a blow, but there's still hope. I chip in for birdie on 12, but have to take par on 13 after a missed putt. A difficult shot from the bunker on 14 skims the green but goes OB. I miss the green again for double bogey. I'm going to have to be perfect for the final 4 holes. I managed to make the greens and putt for birdies on both 15 and 16. On 17, I narrowly miss my target bunker and bounce into the water. I hook the resulting shot to the green, leaving myself with a long putt. I barely miss the birdie, so I'm going to have to eagle 18 to have any chance to save this attempt. I try to give myself the best shot at the green I can, then I have to hit and hope for the hole out, and nope, but it was close. Time to start over. I start the next attempt off well with an eagle. I par hole 2, but this is not a nice green to putt on, so I'll take it. I set up nicely for a shot to the green on hole 3, and manage to take another eagle, which I follow up with a precise shot onto the green and a putt for birdie on hole 4. Not a bad start. On hole 5, I risk the deep rough, but don't quite make the green on the following shot. I take another par. I underhit on hole 6 to go OB, meaning I have to take bogey here. I missed the eagle putt on hole 7, but again, I'm happy to 2-putt on this green for birdie. Some harsh weather and deep rough proved to be little issue on hole 8 as I still recover to get very close and putt for another birdie. I miss an awkward putt on hole 9 and take par. -6 through the front 9 is one more stroke than the previous attempt, but again, it's looking good. I birdie hole 10 for a good start to the back 9. Once again, I struggle with hole 11, going OB and having to take a bogey, though I make up for it with a good shot onto the green and a birdie on hole 12. I make some very good shots from rough and bunker to get 2 further birdies on holes 13 and 14. This time I'm in a very strong position going into the final 4, but I mustn't take it for granted. I'm happy with a par on 15 as I just missed the green from the second shot. On 16 I end up in the rough but make a good recovery putt for birdie. I just need to keep it together for the final 2. I play the risky drive on 17 and it's in the water. And I have to play from back near the tee ground. This is not good. My only option is to try and play through the bunkers without sacrificing too many strokes. Another disaster though, as I go into the water a second time. It looks like it's all falling apart right at the end. I eventually make the green and take a triple bogey. It could be all over, but I still have a chance if I can birdie the final hole. I take a bounce and land in the bunker, slightly more difficult than the rough, but it's a relatively short shot to the green. I manage to get close and don't hesitate to make the short putt for birdie. Somehow, I still finish in the top spot to win the final trophy and complete this challenge. So, this was a difficult challenge to complete in the end. I think I could possibly have beaten a few more courses before trying to use DK, but it definitely felt necessary to have a strong character for the final 2 or 3 courses. I hope you enjoyed this video, and please consider leaving a like or subscribing to the channel. You could also follow me on Twitch, where I record the attempts at these kind of challenges live. For now, thanks for watching and enjoy the rest of your day.